Okay, I'm gonna give this a try. It's been a while. I have been doing cards. I'm a master instructor in IET and have been for years now. It's hard to believe. Time has just flown by. Started back in 2019 with IET, which I just love to say the least. So I've used these cards since then. Different ones. I've went through many batches of IET cards. I would support another business by buying the cards there instead of ordering directly, which is kind of comical because I still have a 20% off, and I haven't used it. And so I would give these cards out to people. At one time I was going to put my business logo card on the back, but I thought, oh, I don't know. But then someone advised me that they were told during the class that they could do that. And I thought, that's interesting. I remember there was a time in 2009 where I felt like I was cursed and hacked and everything else because there was a physician assistant in New York City that I got to meet on a mediumship course back then. And I sent her a package in gratitude because she was helping my ex at the time through something, and she was utilizing her Reiki. I also had at that time my 3rd level in Reiki, and I guess I doubted myself more because it was my master instructor Reiki, but I was capable as well. And so there's this prestige, this in spirituality, it's almost like, and I don't want to call it Jacob's ladder, they keep coming in and saying that, but it's like a high hierarchy where people feel like they ascend more every time they get an attunement, every time they go to a class and they do things. But what I know is myself, being the human being I am of love, I am of light, I am of truth. I don't need to tell anyone that. I'm a mystic Buddhist. I've taken many courses, spent thousands and thousands of dollars. Now before me is a deck of cards. This doesn't make me any less of a person. I have crystals before me that are great for clearing cards. Now what a lot of people do not know, which is rather interesting, it's interesting, Angel Gabriel and Foresight, and that's future prediction of things. And so back then I would get these things, messages, and I'd be like, okay, some things I'd write down, some I didn't. Some things I forecast, some I didn't. And things unfold and you're like, I knew it intuitively, like just having a clear knowing. And then the clear audience and the clear sentience and all of that. And I know sometimes, many mornings in the last little while, I was just like, yep, kind of casting. And I'm not even, I don't do witchcraft. I know those that do, and there are those that are good. Their intentions are pure, and those that are not. Some people do it for the sake of themselves. Like I know what it's like to be tortured for the last 7 years with spirit. I just make do, and I'm of love and kindness, and I move forward. I learned something interesting today that could probably stop something from causing me more and more disarray, but how deep do I go in? And so I feel like I'm brought back to the table where reading cards is not beneath anyone. So don't let any of the teachers out there tell you that reading cards is a stepping stone to your psychic abilities and your mediumship. That's a load of shit. I've been told and taught different ways. I know myself, I've been taught by spirit, energetically, having cards in both hands. There was a time before that I did cards. I was taught, energetically put your hands over, see where your finger taps down, and that's the card for the person. I mean, there's different variations of ways to read cards. And so I've done many different ways. I've done many recordings over the year, but I never, there was like someone was casting hexes and curses, and I know this to be true because even opening up this book randomly with Elmora and the daggers and everything else that occurs. And I know there was a time back in 2019, somebody came in telepathically and said, Elmora is not willing to work with you. And I cried and I'm like, what have I done wrong? And then the Buddhist in me, and I've been told sometimes people are just really, really good, and they lead with love and kindness, but at the same time, they go through pain and suffering just because they're born. Now, I know the fact to be that there are those that are out there that will cause hex and curses on people, assuming they know the person, assuming they know truth. There'll be a collective that gather, like a clique, a gang, a cult, however you may perceive it. And they will talk ill regard, ill intent, like a laser tongue. Now, I understand if it's a person's personal experience, and it is their experience, and they were to say to you, you know, this person was unkind, verbally abusive towards me, but I know Spirit brought forward other people that shared their stories. Another has been abused, another one has been totally disrespected, another one has and this and that, and all this collectively comes together. We err in caution in this, we do, and I know for myself, it's like, okay, love and kindness, let's see the light that they are within them. Now, I know there's people that are sorcerers, and they do these things, and I know my type of sorcery is very different. Of love and kindness, it's always for the positive intention moving forward. It's never to cause ill regard, ill intent on another human being. I do know, though, sorcery came in, and they're called puppeteers, and they puppeteered my life, caused the breakup of 27.5-year marriage based on what they had learned, and not so much of what they've learned from me, my experience, my story. So there are those out there that will cause havoc, will cause harm, will cause ill regard, ill intent due to jealousy, and we know that all to be toxicity. It's not in a way of love and kindness in any manner. There is a detective side of me that comes forward. It's a guide. And that detective side is, okay, why? Okay, let's see what is the reason this may be. Why is this unfolded anyway? And then I have holy water that's placed to the right of me, and I'm reminded the reason why. It's to bear the lessons that it may be and how we react to those lessons. Are we like Sister Teresa, where we say, okay, we forgive them anyway? It's not a matter of the story the Buddhists teach, where there's a couple, the duck quacks, the lady hears it, she sees it, her husband sees something very different. It's like my ex and I driving down the street. I look to the right, I see a homeless couple. I see love. I see them pushing a grocery cart. I'm like, interesting. But I don't bear judgment on it. My ex looks to the left. What does he see? He sees police cars. He sees crime. He's seeing stuff that's different than I. And I remember him saying something, and I turned to my left, and I go, no, thank you. I'd rather look to my right, which is rather interesting, isn't it? And so sometimes we're guided in certain ways with our guides. So no matter how much puppeteers try to puppeteer our lives, things unfold, the masks come off, truth prevails, and whether it's of the living or those that are not, that are consciously aware, and they're floating around as invisible beings. And so they all have life experiences. So I was finding today that last night I drew a bunch of cards and I placed them on the table. Now keep in mind, I've taken courses in shamanism, mediumship, bridging spirit, you name it. I've done a lot of different courses. I worked in mental health for many years, building a foundation that's built. And I know this to be true. And there are those that will try to tear down your foundation. Foundations get torn down if you're moving forward with trickery, ill regard, ill intent, and you're wanting to cause pain and suffering upon others. So take it upon me and wisdom in a way. If you have that thought for him and it comes to the surface, say, no, thank you. I'm not going to entertain that. Instead, be within who you are. Find that magic, that light that ignites. like no other. Remember, you are a seed, a blessed seed, just like I had beans for supper. Those beans were created by creation, and it took the earth's surface in order for it to be created, not only of the hands of man. And so, what can I say? I believe in fairies and gnomes and gargoyles and many other things. And so even here I have a little garden where I have Buddha, I have a beautiful crystal, I have some other, there's angels, and what can I say? I love the angels, to say the least. For some reason, I was guided to do this video, and it's The Keeper of the Light from Kyle Gray. And I was alarmed at first when I opened this deck, because I bought it from a reputable store who are wonderful, and they're called The Perch. And so when I bought it, I thought, oh my, inside the deck, there's no invocations to open and close for the reading. And Kyle Gray usually does that with his decks, as I have this other Divine Master, which is a newer deck, which resonates with this book, which I love. And I have 3, by the way, so it's kind of comical for it to unfold and go, oh wow, Divine Masters, number 3. I've always known Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu for Divine Masters. Whereas for an angelical presence, it's always been the number 4. We all resonate with numbers very differently. You may be a 3, you may be a 4. It depends on your life path. It all depends. At the same time, you can resonate with both. Whereas with this deck, as you can see, there's an invocation. So we're going to use this invocation. I'm not sure why, but it's the Divine Master within, the voice of my inner teacher. I call on you now, awaken and activate. I'm willing to remember you, and so it is, which is really fascinating because this is a brand new deck, okay? This one isn't. This one, for this invocation, oh my, okay, I have done the audio on it completely, but I first went through the book just randomly. I would pick pages, write the date. There was these things going on in synchronicity. It was like, oh wow, that's who's coming forth. That makes sense. Oh wow, I'm going to the church. There's a healing required, and here's Mother Mary coming forward with the invocation. And so I love doing it that way. So what Spirit had guided me to do was to do that with the very first book. The very first book is very, let's just say, it's indestructible. It has caused me pain and suffering amongst all else, but at the same time brought me miracles, joy, everything else. And so the second book, I found I was doing the same thing because I had recorded so much in the first book. I was still recording dates and experiences. The third book comes along because I'm like, oh my, for my clients, for anyone I'm of service to, they may be in my home, it may be over the phone, it may be that it was guided if they may receive and willing to receive, then I send it to them. Especially if I find somebody, I'm like, oh my, I can tell they're getting poison daggers right now. And so of course I'm like, if you may receive, here you go. Here's some information for you. And this is the book. And if you decide, it's not like I'm doing advertising. Just know this to be true, okay? These are all tools. It's like when you have the kettle. You have a kettle that's a tool that helps with creation to create a nice cup of tea. And so, either way, my kettle's been through a lot, to say the least. Now, I am, for some reason, going to show you what it is that I was guided to do. I have this beautiful crystal stone, and it's like, okay, it's manifesting me to get going again. And I used to do this, like I said, for many, many years. But this is a little different. I have a turntable, okay? And it has hearts on it. And with this turntable, there's a bunch of cards. Now, it's kind of hard to see, but here you go. And as you can see, the beautiful stones. And so, these stones, one may work more powerful for you than the other. One can clean, cleanse, and clear. One can activate. And so, the beautiful thing is, I had this card and I had this little stone. Lo and behold, I don't remember putting it, this clear crystal, on the cards. I had to have had it in one of my bags, which, by the way, it's so funny. Spirit had me put cedar and my hair, a piece of my hair, oh my, cedar in here. But keep in mind, and a rose quartz, it's interesting. Things you forget that you're guided to do. And so, for protection in a beautiful way, but there was a ceremonial thing that was put with the cedar. So it's not only megahertz of music, chanting, and different things. And so the deck of cards, pardon me, that belong to that happens to be these. So I will be drawing those as well. And so that deck of cards was on the table, and there was this crystal. You can use a pendulum if you may as well. I'm going to try my pendulum later. And so you can have it, and which this powerful, beautiful being of light in its own way, like I said, fell off the card of decks, and I didn't notice it right away. And it was sitting there, and it was sitting kind of just pointing inwardly. And I thought, wow, and it's quite pretty. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points to it. And so I have it here in front of me, and it's laying on the table on this beautiful cloth that I have used in my healing room. And so now I'm going to, and I'm just giving an example of different ideas on what you can do. Now, I know when I was doing this, somebody in spirit comes up and says, oh, you can try this, do this. Trying to take what was blessed to me to utilize as a creation and on a video, and I spoke of that as well. And so you'll have those that are like warlocks, evil beings that have made contracts with witches and whatever the case may be, sorcerers, and try to steal your ideas away from you. And so I know my team, I asked them to come in, and of course this other presence and may be to block those out from what it is I'm doing. So now I'm feeling to turn it clockwise, which is interesting because I believe I may have turned it another way. And so this is a collective card that's being utilized. Now, according to Kyle Gray's teachings, I was told not to pick more than 2 because they can be so powerful. And so this is interesting because there is a layer of 3 where the crystal is pointing, but in actual fact, it's pointed on the top of the 3rd card. And so, blessed be, this is a guide, whom I have like an invocation with a ring, and it's Hilarion. Now, it doesn't say Saint Hilarion, it says Hilarion. Those who know Saint Hilarion would know that he lived in a cave, he was a monk, he would counsel couples, he would do his magic. He was accused of adultery, of lust for another, and so forth because of his work. At the same time, though, I see Hilarion, Saint Hilarion. Some say he's the one of the same as Saint Germain. I see him, Saint Hilarion, as the healer as it may, and he is a healer, and it's a beautiful reminder because that's the color of my car, and so the combination actually, and I think I'm being reminded that he's guiding me today in a beautiful way. He's honoring your sensitivity. Retreat to recharge and heal your light can support others. You know, it's interesting because a monastery monk was on last night, and he said, get outside. For some reason, I've been meaning to get outside all day. And I'm like, oh, not again. I'm going to end up going outside at night. Either way, you get outside, whether it's day or night, and so it be. And so Saint Hilarion and divine healing. Well, I am a healer, there's no doubt. Remote healing is what some call it. Some call it energy healing, distant healing, different things. Whatever you go with, there's no right or wrong answer. Know that to be true. Pardon me. Some say when you're rubbing your nose that it's spirit that's channeling through you. And so, and in a hilarious way, here I am rubbing my nose over and over again. So know those that are guiding you, that are there in a beautiful way. Oh my, blessed be. And so Saint Hilarion is with all of thee that are meant to be, that may watch this video. And may it be that there's no curses or hacks or ill regard, ill intent placed upon it. Because knowing and discovering there is so much more to card readers than you even realize. These are healing cards. Just know that to be true. And there's so much more to it. And if I can, I'll put the video and the cards beneath it with what is directed by Kyle Gray. At the same time, I'm just going to say, with Saint Hilarion, know it to be true. You are capable of healing yourself. So when it comes to cognitive thoughts, and you know there's trickery, and for those of you that are awakened to the awakening and knowing, not only telepathic abilities, you may be walking along a store and then you're like, did I hear that person right that walked by me? Know that it could be energy surrounding them. It may not even be them that's telepathically communicating with you. It could be wandering spirit on the earth plane, could be an ancestral member of theirs. And so unless you ask the person straight out, you may want to do it with ease. And you may want to wait for those opportunities where you may be in a private place with another to see if it to be true and not to be going forward. Again, your destiny, your choice, you do as you may. But at the same time, there is energy because there's so many people that want to heal from loss. They want to heal from their own demise, their own thought forms, their own creation of things. And they're like, oh my, I hope to never do that again. If you can, be kind to yourself. Because the truth is, we're hardest on ourselves. And even those that have this label of people, I mean, this has been over a century now. When I reflect back, even for, it hasn't been a century since I've been working in mental health. However, I had worked in mental health many years, and I reflect back when I went to dentist's office, and I remember reading a magazine, and it talked about narcissism. And I remember reading, going, am I a narcissist? Like, I'm going to change my ways if that's the case. And I remember asking someone, listen, do you think I'm a narcissist? And they said, no, Tina, you're not a narcissist. My sister is a narcissist. And so we have to be very, very careful. You know, even myself, placing judgment upon myself and labeling myself as Stockholm Syndrome. Because the mystic Buddhist I am, what I tend to do is I have empathy. It's like the lady of compassion, the lady of mercy is there with me. And we see things in a perspective maybe differently than others do. It's like seeing someone and going, they're not them, they're not themselves. There's some trickery going on there. And I can't quite make it out, but I do know one thing is for sure. The more truthful I am to myself, down deep, others are truthful as well. And so remember that message. So you are capable of healing yourself. And with that, consciously, if you're going around and you're in pain and suffering, just know sometimes that pain and suffering isn't yours. It could be that somebody is exuding that pain off on you as well in a way of ill regard, ill intent. Like a once ordained monastery monk told me, it's best not to say nothing bad at all. And what is bad? You know, that's what we have to determine here. What is considered bad? Well, bad could be negative gossip. Bad is not when you need your stories to be heard. And so remember that moving forward. We're going to turn it again, but this time I'm getting the urge to turn it counterclockwise. And this may take longer than most realize, but that's okay. Okay, so now I have this layer of cards. This one's interesting because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 within the vicinity of where the crystal is pointing. So I realize this one is 3 down, which means it's kind of interesting, right? 1 is at the top, 3 is down, 1 plus 3 is 4, an angelical presence, blessed be. Ooh. There we go. This one's new to me. The whole deck is new to me. So send that karma, light activation. Shine your light. Your internal guidance is coming through loud and clear. Okay. Oh, Lord, love a duck. You know how there are those teachers out there, and there are many that are saying, you are one of the same of this, you're one of the same as that. I do remember many years ago, 2018, 2019, we're in 2026 now. And I remember dropping down names to people. It was like, oh, Sister Teresa. It's like, whoa. I'm like, where did that come from? So I'm not saying I'm one of the same of the blessed being I'm mentioning right now. But what I'm saying is, and what I'm getting, it's a privilege to live a life experience. It really is. And that when we activate our light, a good example is these beautiful monastery monks that are walking across the United States to bring peace, and in a harmonious way. They're saying he's a priest? Okay, either way, they're walking in a harmonious way. Every step they take, what channeled out of me last night, it's like this beautiful light that radiates around them, okay? So picture yourself, you know how we're taught, many of us, a tunnel of light, let us shine down on you. And it's like this radiating the light in order for enlightenment from your crown chakra, and it's shining down and through you. Okay, that's activating your light, your tunnel of light, okay? There's vortexes in Sedona. We all know this. Many of us have been there. It's like time jumping, and you're like, whoa, what did I experience? Beautiful, beautiful ascending masters, living life experiences, and more, angelical presence. They're all witches as well, and warlocks, and you name that. As you may, it's up to you. But I've met beautiful, beautiful people in Sedona. And so these beautiful, beautiful vortexes, picture these monks, every step that they take, it's like a vortex, a beautiful encumbrance, a oneness. I mean, you know how kitties can go through a dome and they have so much fun because they run through it? Well, imagine the people that happen to be on that path. And in the future, people wanting to walk that path, like Buddha. Buddha walked a certain path. People of today are still able to walk the path of Buddha, and they find it life-changing. They find an enlightenment within them. It's a light activation. And so know that you can ignite your light with experiences. You don't even have to go anywhere. You yourself can create these vortexes of love and light as long as your intentions are pure and of love. Otherwise, you know, God is love. Love is God. And oneness of all that is. It's the year of 2026. Okay? So I think of 2 and 6 is 8, and then 2 is 10. So 1 and 0 is 1. Oneness in all that is in a homecoming way. Many people are coming to an understanding of homecoming. It could be a year of past life regression, and people are there and they're wanting to do soulful retrieval. Just know people do their soulful retrieval without their vessel. They can go and do soulful retrieval. You don't have to take a course. The courses are out there. Trust me, God outed me out of a course that was exactly about that. But I also know that I've been doing it for a while now. And so it's a little bit different. And so, and it's possible the readings, the direction, my guides, however it may be, but let's continue to ignite our light. But not only do we ignite our light, you have to know this. There are guides, and you wonder, you're like, how can I sit in this environment, feel psychically attacked, feel all this awful stuff, and then all of a sudden you look over at other people and they look calm, they look, and you're like, what's going on? How is this possible? Well, there's people that have guides that surround them with light, such powerful light. There are those that do trickery that will, let's say they go and somebody rubs them the wrong way. They go home and they use their sorcery, they'll do trickery, they'll do stuff like that, but it comes at a cost. They find out later sometimes, it's like, oh my, okay, this really worked, this is great, I'm so happy. At the same time, it's like anything, it's always found out. Truth always prevails. And trust me, I'm so tempted. There are times I'm led in such temptation. Such temptation. I'm not talking no regard or intent about anyone, because there are good things where you can put prayers forward. And so I know I've done it before, where drawing cards and drawing things and saying, if you may receive, and I've done it in the universe. I remember one guy, he was on a boat somewhere, kind of not stranded, but escaping from something bigger, and we're talking telepathic, telekinesis, torturous stuff. And so I'm like, I'll read the guy's cards in the universe, and then somebody else came in that was a friend that was looking for him. I'm like, nope, no means no, I'm not. And then later it was just like all this crazy stuff was going on, and I'm like, yeah, no thank you. And then I realized the value of self-worth and what is. It's not even about money. It's more of a self-worth of you as a human being with your boots on the ground and human conditioning, whether you're doing it on a camera, whether you're doing it, you know, with a person right in front of you, knowing your worth and light activation. And normally I would just pick these two because that's Kyle Gray's recommendation in his new deck. But I feel drawn to draw another one. And I'm not sure why. Maybe that's just creating change for a greater good, that people do things differently. And then number 3 is coming in strong, and so I am going to do it, and I'm just going to turn the table, and maybe it's the crystal that's requiring it. And just know you have crystals in your phone as well, so don't curse and hack, because you're cursing and hack yourself when it comes to phones. Okay, so this is interesting. They're showing me a layer of 3, and all 3 cards have the crystal pointed at it. So we had 3 and 1, which is 4. Now we have a layer of 3 cards. So which one do we choose? So energetically, if you can, just activate yourself. Now there's different activation motivations. There's different things. I'm going to do an activation which has to do with consciousness. It's hard to see this way, but it is actually this way. It's kind of hard to see, but either way, consciousness. So consciousness, within my consciousness, some would say higher self, but I'm going to ask with my consciousness to point down and touch the card. Okay, I'm just going to look at the camera, not look at the card of the one that's meant to. Okay, this is interesting. So my finger touch the first 2 cards and not the third. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the crystal this time. And I'm going to let it guide me exactly which card. I close my eyes because I don't want to see. I want to just see where it's directed. Okay, interesting. It's pointing at the bottom card. So this can be confusion for doing cards this way. So you have to go with your first instinct. So for me, I'm going with the middle one. Diana, focus on intention. When I think of Diana, I think of Kyle Gray and his mom and how she's doing her work in the universe in different ways. Kyle may not believe in parallel lives. I do, and I believe she's really hard at work, working on her parallel lives at this time. And she's able to do magic where she's able to still, pardon me for a moment, she's still able to do magic where she's able to come and go in this timeline and help out with those she loves and those she sees that are doing creation with his magical creations, and even the artists that helped him along the way. And so, Diana, focus intention. Think about what you desire. Set your sights high. Expect the best possible outcome. Okay. So my desires right now is not to have to feel the energy that is and may, because what happens is it becomes too much. And I know before I've sat on my feet, and even though I can ask a certain guide to ground me now and connect me in a special way and to help me, because I know I've done this before where I've sat in a meditation for quite some time and I was doing a bunch of Dharma teaching work, and I got up and I ended up spraining my ankle and I was off my feet for quite some time. I do know too, though, that focus on intentions. My intentions is, when it comes to this pain body energy, and some of you may be feeling it, that, and I am to teach this and to share. Some of you may feel these pain bodies and know that they're not yours. You just know it. You're like, okay, my buddy's coming through. She had a broken ankle. Yep, that's her checking on me. You know how in the past, it was a time where you're like simulating, okay, you're thinking of someone and the phone rings, you pick it up and it's them. Well, some of us are so highly sensitive on this paradigm. We're so highly sensitive, we pick up other people's energies. Now, that could be someone you love, somebody you care about, but it also can be someone that has ill regard, ill intent. They're suffering badly and they want to pass it along to medical mediums and this and that, and they do this stuff so that they can live prosperous, they can live free in pain, they can live, they say it's an illusion and that's not their pain. Well, there are times where it is reality and it is not your pain. I know this. I've felt it. I've experienced it. I know what is not my pain and what is. It's like listening to Little Richie, for example, and I'm dancing and I feel connected to Little Richie because I think of my dad. And I'm in the bathroom of my old place and I'm like, okay, so if I was to focus on my intention at that time, that was to get the energy out, because I was getting this feeling of a bullet wound, and I'm not kidding you. It was painful. It was shooting through me, this bullet, this pain, that I'm like dancing to Little Richie, and I felt like obviously my dad was there to help me through it. And so it was like, whoa. Whereas I've been in Cuba and I felt protected despite the circumstances, sitting next to somebody who was full of betrayal amongst other things. And then I'm like, I'm feeling a bullet, like, I don't know why, but I didn't feel the pain of it. I feel a bullet, but they're like putting the bullet pieces in like a dish, a metal dish, and they're taking it out and they're putting it in a dish. And I'm like, I look at the person, I say, can you resonate with this? And they're like, no. So obviously they were not them themselves. There was something going on, trickery of some sort. Later, Spirit shows me, because we're in a hotel room, and I see the person, I see the back of their leg, and they have a bullet wound. They literally have a scar of a bullet wound. I'm like, thank you, Spirit. I'm like, Kalima, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're watching out for me in ways I can't even thank you enough for. And other guides. And so Diana, focusing on attention, my intention and thinking about desire, setting your sights high. I set myself high when it comes to preceptors and laws of commandment and the best possible outcome. Because I'll tell you, I'll give you an example. And this may be true for you too. There's laws that we are law-abiding citizens to follow. Well, there are times where you don't follow the law because you're like, this is a load of horse shit. This is crazy. And then you get all the scientific stuff. So for example, I have a neighbor where Spirit has a nickname for him, Inspector Gadget. Beautiful person, once a chiropractor. He walks along, he has a secret walk that he does with his dog, mindfully, but sometimes you'll see the dog, you know, way further ahead of him or way behind, like as if Inspector Gadget's arms out, you know, doing his magic, taking the dog for a walk. Well, he's always like, he comes to my house and it's like an inspection. You know, you need to take your eaves troughs, or you need to pack them away because of the snow and it can freeze and it could cause you damage. Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. And Spirit was reminding me all before that, but he told me and I was grateful and thankful for it. And then he would inspect my windows, like there were things that I had done. So when I lived in my condo, there's these glass, plexiglass that you can put, and I have it just sitting on the water well, like the window well, and it's just sitting there so that a bunch of snow doesn't build up there in the window. And so it helps with, I think, heat loss and different things like that. And so this carpenter made it for me, and I'm grateful for it. But he's like, you know, that's I know a lot of firemen, and that's a hazardous. And I showed him, I said, look, this is not even attached. But the other thing, I can change that. And I hope to soon. Either way, I just find it interesting that Spirit has their way. Who knows what nicknames are for me? I know I was called Rainbow Child. I've been called many different names. And so Golden Light, Golden Vessel, I have Golden Expansive Heart, a Heart of Gold, been told in the universe and in person as well. And so I don't know what the other comical ones are. Maybe it's stupidity. Who knows? I know people put blocks and barriers up for people. Anyway, I look at him as like a neighborhood watch guy. He'll be sure to tell you if something is not right that's going on. And I appreciate that. So accept all for who they are. Focus on your intention. So my intention is not to cause ill regard or ill intent. You know, my intention isn't to go and cause him pain and suffering and be pissed off at him because he's pointing out all this stuff. Now, my intentions are hard when it comes to deer. So he told me not to feed the deer anymore, and he explained to me, he says, you know, when you see a deer hit on the road and their leg is all, you know, and whatever, he had his experience, right? I live right next to a forest. The deer comes to my yard. So I'm like, to St. Francis, what do you want me to do next? So I'm having my own little internal dialogue of frustration. I'm like, okay, then tonight I have to take a bunch of feed and go bring it to the forest and spread it there, just so I don't have my neighbor down my throat. But then I have a dog, and I'm like, okay, there could be coyotes. I have to be careful. I'm frustrated because now here I am. It's dark out, and my intentions were pure. My intentions were, I've got to drop off this feed, I've got to do this, got to do that, and putting up expectations for myself. And so I have to focus more on my intentions. Why is it that I feel the need to do this so strongly? I have a dog. My dog didn't get fed. That would just tear my heart out. And so there's deer that have been, it's interesting how she has like, it's almost like bow and arrows. There has been deer hunted for years. I have a hard time with that. I still do. I still remember the impactful video of this hunter with his daughter. His daughter wasn't even 10 years old. I don't know how old she was. I think you have to be 13 years old in Canada to be able to touch a firearm to hunt. And seeing the shock in her system, excitement for killing a deer, was disturbing to me. It was disturbing. And who knows, she might be the one that becomes a vegetarian later in life. Not that I want to puppeteer or have that manifest. I mean, whatever is meant for her. I'm being reminded, focus back on the intention of love and kindness, of wishing the best for whatever that person is. But see how powerful that thought can be? Maybe she will end up as a vegetarian or a vegan from that experience in childhood. Insensitivity to animals. Now there are those that hunt, that do rituals, that do prayers before they take the shot. I'm not going to take anything away from them. There's an essence in me, First Nations woman, knowing I live that. I know I'm a Caucasian white woman, either way. There are still people, no matter what time, still have a hard time with taking the life of another. Because of the side effects, what it can do to the consciousness of living a human being experience. And so, whether it's hunting, even intentions, if they're not pure, and you were wanting to destroy somebody's business, that's not what I want to do. I know that somebody caused me ill regard and ill intent recently. And all I said were these words, well, if she keeps that up, she's not going to have many people coming to her. And then I realized, I caught myself, and I'm like, okay, I got to do love and kindness. Like, I've got to do something to change that around. I'm not going to do correct delete or do all this sorcery stuff that people do. Because people can have opinions, and opinions do matter. Especially if somebody is being cruel and mean and abusive. But you have to be cautious, even on your own experiences, and seeing and reflecting back how mirroring really affects. Like, this person had work stolen from her, but then realizing, wait a second, there was a time where I was doing stuff and she was invading my privacy, my sovereign being, my Aztec records, invading me and what it was I was doing. And trickery was played. What were her intentions? And so we have to send love and light, and everybody's going to have an experience, and we all have to be accountable for our stuff. I welcome it. I do. I welcome it. It is part of the healing process, and being the best human beings we can be, and being of light and radiating our light outwardly. Being of love and kindness, and remembering how trickery of the rabbit hole and the thought forms can play trickery. And you know, for me, it's really hard because there has been times where you just don't think. You don't. It's almost like you're the puppet, you're being puppeteered. All these thought forms come in, and it's like the monkey minds of others. And you're like, whoa. If it wasn't for me getting visuals and then meeting a person the next day of that face I seen, then I wouldn't have been like, I'd be like, holy shit, let's just get on some medication and stay on it. But the truth being here, and trust me, side effects horrible for people, causing worse things, causing people to, and I don't know why I'm getting on this topic, but I will. People get in a state of mind and a thought form where they believe what they're told. They think that people are of a supreme source, that they know better, that they, it's almost like they're dangling things in front of you. And so, yeah, I'm realizing as time goes on that there's more than what meets the eye with focusing on intentions. Focusing on intentions. I take a sleeping aid at night, and I pray Archangel Michael, my guides, keep me safe. That was the very first card that was picked out of this deck today. It was Archangel Michael. And a friend of mine was on the phone with me, and she pulls a card, and it's Archangel Michael from the same deck. It's like, I just open the deck, I look, there's Archangel Michael, she pulls the card, it's Archangel Michael. So it's validation, it's synchronicity, it's like her and I meeting more than once, and those that were trying to put hexes and curses out to cause separation for us to get together. It unfolds. Truth prevails. Truth unfolds. If your intentions are pure and you're wanting love and light to surround you, kudos to you. If you are cursing and hacking and saying, for example, I want that place to shut down, they don't deserve to be teaching what they're teaching and all that shit, I don't want any part of that. And so that's just a good example. And so there are people that can do real evil, wicked things. Real evil, wicked things. And they don't even know what it is that they do sometimes. And then it ricochets back. And so I find these videos are way too long. 51:55. That's 16. 6 plus 1 is 7. That's going to be the end of that in a way of love. Maybe of love, maybe of peace. May the universe have your back in a special way, because I've questioned it and queried it myself and kind of wonder what is going on, because all this dialogue is coming in and I'm not really caring for it. There are those, unfortunately, that are caught in their bodies and they can't move, whether it's ALS or whether it's a coma, whether it is whatever it may be. I know I've helped in different ways that way before, but I'm not going to be trapped in my home like a bird in a cage anymore. So may you as well, and bring in oneness and a homecoming way for yourself as well, and have the foresight of that to be true, because we are responsible for our own actions. I'll just do a couple more for you quickly. And taking action and doing so, and you know that to be true, take action. And daring you to get outside your box, get outside the cage, get out, do whatever it is. It may be you doing a video online and sharing what it's like to be in a bird cage. Forgiveness. Forgiveness. Forgiving yourself for falling trickery to those of fame and fortune. Please. Oh, Lord love a duck. No offense, Kyle Gregg. You are very much loved. But people do not need to put anyone on a pedestal. We can show appreciation and gratitude for their work. We know there's many lives lived. He could be a peasant in another life that is poor as lice. And so just know that forgiveness is huge. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Forgive yourself for falling trickery, for what people have done. And that's the biggest gift you can give yourself. May you be well, may you be happy. In the name of love.